Welcome to another Versus video. I'm BBD. I'm here with
CVM?
CVP.
CVD.
I
forget.
Having a hard time remembering his own name. This should be an easy match.
Hopefully.
So, CVM, I heard something interesting.
What was that?
Heard you're playing Mono Red.
I mean, it's a thinking man's deck.
I
like to be a thinking man. Got
a couple questions for you.
Sure.
So, how about that guy? Is that guy good against you? Is he?
He's all right.
He's all right? All right. Well, what about that guy? Is that guy good against you?
I think that guy's actually better against me than Reckoner.
Oh, really? Interesting. Well, how about this? Is that card good against you?
No.
Oh, because I had like 20 of those. So.
Yeah, you got a lot of them.
Yeah, that kind of sucks. Well,
got them shocklands.
What about this card? Is that card good against you?
Yes. Yes, it is.
Oh. Well, that's actually in my sideboard, so
yeah,
a little awkward, but
get him back in there. So we are going to play the beloved basic land game.
Yep.
I am like X-1 against BBD lifetime in this game. So even though it's got technically a 60%er, I feel like it's more like a 10.5%er.
Yeah. It's 60%, 20% of the time.
So I have to decide if I want to pick one or just go at random. Now I am playing mono red, so I could level him and pick a mountain, but then tell him I'm not going to pick a mountain. I'm just going to go random, make it nice and easy.
It's unfortunate.
You're not going to get any read on me.
Because I thought I had some solid mind game vibes going. So mountain. Damn it! All right, that's not good. We're already well on the path to defeat, which is where I like to be. Plains.
Oh man.
How is this game so hard? Island.
Guess the mono red deck gets to be on the play. Which one do you think it is?
Forest. Just the actual
That's happened
worst.
before, right?
Yeah.
Just the last one?
Oh, man, I'm just the actual worst.
It's all the random. It's all the random. So I will be on the play. I'll give my deck a couple more shuffles here.
I think we got to go back to rock, paper, scissors. I was winning a
lot.
No. I was winning a lot more with that, so.
I'll take my 40%er dog every time. Hopefully your hand is just like forest.
Reckoner.
Double shockland, a million reckoners. All right. So this hand is pretty interesting, and I definitely believe that it is keepable, so I'm going to keep it. And I'm excited to see what cards I draw and how it plays out.
All right. Well, this hand is slow and unwieldy, but at the same time, it has some of our best cards, so I'm definitely going to keep it.
Oh, no. All right. So I'll start with a mountain and pass.
Awesome. No one drop. Liking this already. This was not a good draw for us. Not a good card in this matchup, but unfortunately that is. So we're going to scry and see this card.
Bottom.
So that's interesting. I think we are going to bottom it actually, because we have these already. So I don't think we want like another one of these. So I'm actually going to bottom that and pass it back.
All right. So I think it's be on the aggressive plan with Ash Salad.
All right. Drop me at 18.
Go ahead.
Something sweet off the top. All right. That's an interesting one. That may be good. Unfortunately, the card we bottomed would have helped with that, but so be it. We will scry into this, and I'm pretty sure we don't want this either because we have this. So I think this is just going to be pretty much a dead card in our hand. So I'm going to go ahead and put that one on the bottom as well, and then pass it back.
All right. So I believe we're looking at a Boros Reckoner for next turn. So we're hoping to draw something real sweet. And that wasn't it at all. So I can do both of these and then just lose a mana. Or I can just this and then attack. And I think that I'm honestly not really sure what's going to be best here. Because we have These are definitely very good with the Fanatics that are in our deck, and if we were to draw a Fanatic, that'd be awesome. So I really like using this to try and find a Fanatic or a Boros Reckoner. And I think that next turn we're going to want to use this on the Reckoner and just sacrifice one of our creatures. And just continue to get in damage. So I'm actually just going to Burning Tree, Zealot, we'll lose a green and attack for 4.
All right, 14.
And then I'll pass the turn.
All right, so he's off to a pretty aggressive start, so that's kind of unfortunate for us, but yeah, there's not much we can do. We're just going to play this card, which is just our best card against him, so I'll shock myself down to 12, which is a little low.
I knew he was going to have to shock to play the Reckoner, and I probably should have explained that in my thought process too. But
yeah.
So a Fanatic here does 7 damage and takes him to 5, so that would be a very good draw.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, a little bit all right. Was it a Fanatic?
No.
It's probably pretty good, though.
Not really.
Not really.
So we're just going to strike the Reckoner.
Yeah, so that's really unfortunate for us here. Like, that actually probably spells our doom. We're just going to kill off an Ash Zealot.
And then we get in for 4.
All right, I dropped to 8.
And then I'll pass the turn.
So, draw. All right, so the land that we shipped to the bottom ends up hurting us here because we didn't draw another land. So now we're in a position where we don't really have a lot of options. We basically can play one of these 2 cards. I think it's this one. I think we have to play this one and try to hit a land to set ourselves up for next turn. So I'm going to play Domri, and I'm going to tip Domri up. So now if he kills our Domri, that's fine. No. And it'll be your go.
So here's a point where, I don't mean to cut you off, but I'm excited for this Magma Jet.
Okay.
So this is a point where this card is going to be really awesome. Like, we're flaying out a little bit, and we have all these powerful, powerful cards. And then if this was a shock, it'd be pretty bad.
Sure. I mean, it'd still be good. I'm still
yeah, so I'm not going to redirect. You're going to go to 6, and I'm going to scry, and you can talk about what I was interrupting you with.
Okay. Basically, the reason we don't care if he kills our Domri, because it fogs for us, and the hope is to either hit a creature and then draw a land, or see a land and then know what we can play next turn.
So I'm actually going to ship both of these to the bottom because they don't do anything at this point. I'm going to be able to attack him to 2, so he's dead to any Ash Zealot, any one of the remaining 8 burn spells in the deck, any Fanatic, any Chandra's Phoenix, and this is not any of those cards, so we might as well just ship them. And we draw, and it's a Fanatic.
All right, we're dead. We are back for the second game. I get to be on the play this time, which is pretty huge edge in a matchup like this. So, yep, this hand is really good. So this is kind of exactly what we want. This card, actually these 3 cards are all really good against him. So I definitely want to keep this hand just on the power of these alone.
And my hand is actually very, very good as well. So.
It would be. It would be. All right, so I'm going to play a Temple, and we're going to Scry. We will keep that on top. Very good card. So.
And that was a pretty good draw. Sets us up for later turns. And we're going to unleash the Cackler.
Old Cackles is out there, rearing and ready to go. We're going to shock with the Temple Garden. Drops us down to 18. And we're going to play this guy, which is very good against this deck. So
it is. It's very good. All right, so we are just going to
play 6 Burning Trees
into a Firefish Striker.
Okay.
And then pass the turn.
Burning Tree into Striker is pretty good against us. That definitely makes our hand much worse.
I could have attacked with this guy before playing my spells, but even if I were to shock myself with a Temple Garden, he's still just going to block with his Caryatid.
Yeah.
Or a Stomping Grounds or whatever.
So we have a number of options here. We can play any of these 3 cards here. that Fire Fist Striker definitely like hurts us a lot because we can't really effectively do anything about it this turn. Part of me wants to just play this because that will set us up next turn to be able to deal with it. And I think that may end up being like the best line of play. Yeah, that card is, yeah, like, basically our hand is awesome if he doesn't have Fire Fist Striker, but since he does, it makes our hand pretty awkward. We could also just take 6 damage next turn and then just start playing these one by one and hope to eventually catch up that way, which could also be good because we do have this to scry with. So that may end up being the right line rather than go for this. So yeah, I actually think I'm going to do that. I'm going to play a scry land, and let's see what we hit off of that. Yeah, that card's not bad. I think we will leave it. That can let us do a few things next turn, like use it along with this or this. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and keep that card on top, and we're just gonna play a Boros Reckoner and pass.
All right, so a land here would be very good. And that's not a land. But we still get to play a Zealot and can block and get in for 8.
Yep, I'm taking 8.
Puts him at 10, and then I pass.
Alright, we will draw a card for turn. We knew we were drawing that one. So now we can just... I don't really want to shock myself.
What did you do with the scry?
I left it on top.
On top, okay.
Yeah. I think our best bet is actually to play this tapped and just play a Smiter. Now we have 3 blockers, and any burn spell he has is not going to stop us from killing that Fire Fist Striker. Because if he kills our Reckoner, we get to kill the Striker, and he doesn't have a way to kill our Smiter with just 1 burn spell. So we should hopefully be able to get the Fire Fist Striker off the table or prevent him from attacking this turn. We'll pass.
All right. So we're still in the same position where a land would be awesome.
And then hopefully we can start playing stuff like this in subsequent turns and just kind of flood the board to the point where we don't die.
So that is almost the same as a land, I guess. So we can play this. We can make one of his creatures not be able to block. And that still does 6 damage to him. Which I think is still fine. Puts him at 4. Yeah, so I'm going to play an Ash Zealot.
Okay.
And then we're just going to turn everybody sideways.
Yep.
And we're going to make it so that your Boros Reckoner cannot block.
Yep. Block an Ash Zealot, and I'll block the Fire Fist Striker.
Yep.
So I'm going to take 6 and go to 4, which is...
And I lose the Striker.
Pretty unfortunate.
And then we pass the turn.
Alright. Draw a card. Alright, that was actually about as good as it gets. So now that he doesn't have Fire Fist Striker, this card's much worse against him than it was before, but this card's very good right now in this board state. So I'm going to go ahead and just play, let's see, go ahead and tap these 2 and play a Scavenging Ooze. So now hopefully we'll be able to start trading off some creatures and gaining some life by eating the creatures in the graveyard. And I will then, I don't think I can really attack here. It's possible that I can send like the Smiter in, but I think I'd rather, I don't know. I actually think I can send the Smiter in. So yeah, I think I will actually. I don't want to give him too much time. So yeah, I'll go ahead and send the Smiter in. If he kills our Scavenging Ooze, then so be it.
16.
So pass it off to you. And he can't really attack into our Reckoner here either, so...
Alright, so I can potentially use this now, which I don't think that really does a whole lot, to be honest. So I think I'm just going to draw a card. Okay. So I think my best bet at this point is just to pass the turn. Since I can't really attack into this board, like even if he like doesn't have a charm to make a blocker, like this still doesn't kill him because he can gain a life with his scavenging ooze. So I am actually just going to pass the turn.
Okay, I will eat your Fire Fist Striker. So I got a 5. And he gets a counter on him. And you're at 16 still.
Yep.
Let's see. I think we want to use our mana this turn, so I'm just going to make a knight with Celestia Charm.
Okay.
Not the most impressive, but we do have to do something. We don't want to just die to like double burn spell. We'll draw for turn. We're at 5 right now. Let's see. We can actually attack him for 16 damage this turn, which would force him to block. But then we're just dead to... We're basically just dead to him attacking us back. So that's really not an option, unfortunately. We do have to attack with something. Because we don't want to just give him infinite time. We don't want to die to like a burn spell plus a Chandra's Phoenix or just double burn spell. He has 4 creatures. We want to make sure we have blockers for his creatures. So I think we actually attack with... I think we attack with a Smiter and the Reckoner here. Let's see. Yeah, we'll attack with a Smiter and the Reckoner.
Alright, so attacking with the Smiter into both of my Ash Zealots leads me to believe that he either has another charm or he's just willing to give up the Smiter so that he can gain a life with his ooze and put him at 6 so that he is out of burn range. And I think that 7 and go to 9. I actually think, and you have 3 cards?
Yep.
Alright, so I think it's going to be better if we do that, actually. So I'm just going to, because I have this to counter his charm, if he does happen to have a charm that he can cast. And if he had a Domri, I imagine he probably would have pre-combated his Domri to kill both of my Ash Zealots. So I'm going to double block my Zealots on your Loxodon Smiter.
Okay. Take 3.
I'll go to 13.
So basically, that was a play I was willing to make because, one, I want to be able to grow my ooze out of burn range. I don't want to die to Magma Jet plus Lightning Strike or Shock plus Lightning Strike. And secondly, I want to basically put him in a situation where he's afraid to block or put as much damage on him as I can because like his hand is full of cards. The longer the game goes, the more likely it is he kills me when I'm at 5 life. So I basically want to do that. Plus I have like a lot of powerful follow-ups here. So it's not like that bad to lose the Smiter in that situation, especially since it grows the ooze.
I do think it's interesting that unless your draw this turn changed your line of play for this turn, it might have been better just to save the charm since you're planning on making that attack anyways, just to like make me use a burn spell while when I kill your Luxodon Smiter.
Yeah, I mean it ended up happening that what I drew ended up is changing the way I wanted to play. So
fair.
So then we're just gonna play the Reckoner over these because we can just play this next turn if we need to. And I think Reckoner is actually better on this board state than this card is for a reason, basically because of the first strike interaction. So, because if he attacks us with Ash Zealots and we block with a Boros Reckoner, we can let first strike damage happen to the Reckoner and kill one of his other guys before they deal regular combat damage. So that's why I think Reckoner is better than either of these. And then we're just going to pass the turn.
Boom.
All right, he's going to Magma Jet us, and we're going to respond to that by eating Loxodon Smiter.
That's fine.
And which puts us up to 6 life. That way, if we wait until his turn, he can just Lightning Strike us in response.
Yep.
So
that puts you at 4 from the Jet.
Yep. So we end up going to 4 from the Jet,
and
we'll
then
see
we'll
what
scry 2. And I definitely want this card, but I don't think that I want this card. It could be, possible that I do want to take both of them so that I can just like chain them and kill him. However, this card just kills him outright, and I have this that I can play that makes it very dangerous for him to attack, and I can just free attack with it anyways for the following turn. So I'm going to put 1 on top and 1 on the bottom.
Okay.
I'm going to draw my land, and we're going to attack you with the Phoenix.
Yep, I'm at 2.
And I'll pass the turn. If you hadn't had that ooze, you'd be dead.
Unfortunately, it looks like we are 1 short of doing what we want to do. It's very unfortunate for us. So like this plus the 2 Reckoners plus the Knight token only represents plus the ooze is basically after he blocks like properly we would not be able to kill him. So we are a little bit short on damage, which means we have to play this to be able to block and just hope he doesn't have another burn spell. It's pretty unlikely that he doesn't have another burn spell, but that's basically our only out. And then we have to leave enough blockers back as well. And since we're dead to like another Chandra's Phoenix, and he has 2 Ash Zealots in play as well, I think we still want to attack with one of these. We have to leave back 4 ground blockers because we can't let any creatures through. But I think we want to... We're basically dead to any card that would kill one of these blockers anyway, so we might as well go ahead and attack on him.
10.
And he's just going to take it and go to 10 because... yeah, there's no reason for him to block and feed our ooze and let us kill his Phoenix and so forth. And then we just have to play a Stormbreath Dragon and pass.
So you only have 4 blockers to my 5 creatures? Well, I guess the first strike damage with the Zealous.
Yeah, the first strike damage lets me kill one of your other guys.
Fair. So I guess, like I was trying to play around, I mean I guess it was just wrong to scry the other card to the bottom. So hopefully I don't lose because of it.
All right. Well, it looks like
it was a Chandra's Phoenix. I just didn't think that the second Phoenix would be lethal.
Oh yeah.
So a draw needs to be a land, and it's a land, and I just 10 you.
Yep. Dead. All right, we are back for sideboarding. I have a lot of cards to bring in for this matchup, and I get to get rid of a lot of pretty bad ones, so I'm pretty happy about that. Stormbreath Dragon's just not good here. Stormbreath Dragon is not good on defense, and basically I want all my creatures to be good on defense in this matchup since he is definitely the aggressor. Chandra doesn't really kill any of his guys, and the card advantage that Chandra provides is just a little too slow to be relevant. And then Celestia Charm, he doesn't have anything that gets exiled by the card, and pumping our guys doesn't matter that much. Our guys are already bigger than all of his, and creating a 2/2 is pretty irrelevant because it just trades with his worst creatures at best. So these cards are all pretty bad against him, and instead we get Voice of Resurgence, which I said the 2/2 from Celestia Charm wasn't that good, but when it comes with like a variable sized creature after you kill one of their guys, then it becomes much better. So Voice is like a very strong blocker against them. Unflinching Courage is going to be awesome on a Smiter or a Boros Reckoner. If we had had this card last game, we would have probably been able to get there just by powering through. And then Flames of the Firebrand, we can kill a Fire Fist Striker and one other guy, or sometimes, a lot of times we might just be killing one guy and hitting him for one, but it's still just good to have a removal spell.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I feel like your sideboard is a lot more prepared for this matchup than my sideboard is, but I think that the main deck is pretty well suited. I do want all 4 of the mortars just as ways to kill smiters and bigger creatures. A lot of times, just like 2 for 1-ing myself, killing a reckoner so I can get in damage is going to be enough.
Yes. Yep.
And so I'm cutting the shocks. They don't seem like they're very good. They don't hit a whole lot, and I just rather have the mortars. And then a Phoenix and a Rakdos Cackler. I wasn't really sure what I wanted to cut, but I don't think the Cackler does very much. But when I have it on turn 1, it's still good. And then Phoenix kind of loses some utility because you do have like mortars yourself to kill it, and then Scavenging Ooze can eat it. Even though it still pushes through damage, I honestly feel like I'm probably going to be bringing it back in for games 4 and 5. But for now, we're going to try it like this.
Okay. All right, we are back for the first of our sideboarded games. I'm a little happier to play these since I will hopefully have some better cards for the matchup here. Oh, man. Okay, this is an interesting one. We have a lot of our best cards in the matchup, but our mana here is a little gross. So I'm going to keep it, and I'm going to hope that this card is going to scry us all the way to a victory in game number 3. So.
This hand is interesting, but I think that it is good enough to keep. Like, we're on the draw, and really we just need to draw a couple lands. Like, if we can hit lands on 3 and 4, I don't even think we have to attack to win the game. So.
All right. I'm going to start out with a Temple and Scry and leave that one on top. You're up.
No.
It's exactly what we were looking for, actually.
All right, well, your turn.
All right. We will draw and play another Temple and Scry, and we will put that one on the bottom since we already have this. We don't need that. So ship that one to the bottom and pass it back to you. Old Ash Zealot, my good friend, back again.
Go ahead.
All right. We're going to draw. That was a pretty good draw. Might be useful later in the game. We're going to shock ourselves here and play a Boros Reckoner. So we're down to 16. So if he kills our Reckoner, we at least get to, I guess, revenge kill the Ash Zealot. It's the official term.
All right. So we have a couple different options. I can just play this, and then even if he has a Unflinching Courage, I think we can race it if we draw land next turn, which is kind of scary. So I play it. He can Courage 15 to 21. Five, 11 to 10. Back up to 15. 9. Or we can just hold back on this if he has a... when he goes for the courage. It's interesting. So I can just jam this and then try and race an unflinching courage. Or I can play this and hold back. But then if I hold back, he just probably doesn't play the courage and just plays like a Paul Kranos or a Domrian fights. I think that's going to be best, actually. I don't want to try and race here because there's a good shot that I just don't draw a 4th land and I'm stuck. So we're going to unleash the beast. And I'll pass the turn.
Okay. I've never wanted to draw a basic land forest in my life. Not a basic land forest. Okay. So, we have 2 options here. We can play... Alright, we actually have much more than 2 options here, but I don't want to do this yet because I don't want to just get blown out by a removal spell. I don't want to do... If I do... I can do both of these, which is one option, which is actually not a bad one. And that might end up being pretty good. I can also just play this. And this might also be a pretty good option here. It is possible that he can just start burning us out. Even though we're at a pretty high life total, that is certainly reasonable. But I think I'm okay with, even if he has a Fanatic next turn, I think I'm okay with just taking 4. So I think that this is probably the best option, and then we can try to follow it up the following turn with like this. I think that I like that better than doing this and this, because the combination of these 2 cards might be really good like later in the game. So I think we are going to just... I guess the other question is like whether or not we attack. And I think we're pretty likely to win the game the longer it goes, just based on how good our hand is. So I don't know. I think we do attack, actually. I think we don't want to just... I think we want to put a little bit of pressure on. So I'll go ahead and send it with Reckoner.
17.
Alright, I'll play another Reckoner. And you're up. So now if he kills our Reckoner here, we get to kill his Ash Zealot, and we can't block his Rakdos Cackler, but at the same time, like, I think getting in for the 3 damage is better than just sitting back and letting him build up his board unhindered like that, without like us putting him under pressure. Because we can still lose a long game. But
Alright, so I can this either at him or at the untapped Reckoner. So if I hit the Reckoner, then he kills my Zealot. And then I get to attack and then play a Reckoner of my own. But I think that I just want to kind of lean on these for the long game, and I'm just going to be using my mana now, so I'm actually going to strike you.
okay, down to 13.
Alright, so now I can either just jam this, or I can play one of these. And so this will do 4 and put him at 9. And then he can courage attack me and gain 5 and go back up to 14. Then I get to do 5 and then battle with everything. If I play this now, then I can wait a turn to start unloading these. And I think that's probably fine. So I'm going to play the land regardless. So we can do 4 and put him at 9. Could do 7. Right, yeah, so I think that it's going to be best just to actually play this Boros Reckoner.
Okay.
And then I'll pass the turn.
Draw. Well, that's not exactly what we want. I think our play for the turn is probably going to be this. Unfortunately, our deck hasn't coughed up any lands for us, which is making things pretty awkward. It's actually been a problem in every game so far. I think this deck probably wants a 24th land.
Yeah, probably. I also think, I didn't talk about it in my line of thought before, but just playing the Reckoner here and leaving up the red actually protects me from a Courage if you don't have an untapped land. Because then I can just block in double first strike.
So we're going to go ahead and send in one of the Reckoners. See what happens with that.
Well, if I block in first strike, he can first strike, and then we'll just do a bunch of trading, and it will defeat the purpose of my game plan, so I'm just going to take it.
Okay, so you drop to 14. And then we're going to play a Domri, and we're going to fight this Reckoner with that Ash Zealot. And then the 2 damage from Ash Zealot we're going to throw at Rakdos Cackler. And we're done.
Alright, so I had him on, if he had a Domri, he would have played it the previous turn to kill both of my creatures. So I didn't think that he would have a Domri there. That kind of puts a bit of a damper in my game plan. And you have 5 cards?
Yes.
But I think that I can attack him with my Boros Reckoner. And then if he blocks, I'll take 6, but I'll be able to kill both of his Reckoners.
Well, you'd only take 3 if that's the case.
Well, no, like there would be, like, I would have to first strike to do that.
Yeah, you'd kill my Reckoner, and then I either do 3 to you or I do 3 to your Reckoner.
Yeah.
In which case,
well, I'm talking about like it not first striking because I want to play a 4-drop.
Oh, right, okay.
And then I go to 8. He is missing on his lands, but then I can follow up with this and kill his Domri. Which I think I'm fine with. The other option is I can just play this and for him, and then pass the turn. And then he gets to untap with his Domri and 2 creatures, potentially with a first strike. So I think actually I am just going to attack you for 3.
I'm going to go ahead and block here. We want to soak up as much damage as possible. So.
Yep. So we'll trade triggers.
Alright, I'll target you with it.
And I'll target this one.
Alright, I'll target you with that one.
So I'm going to take 6 and go to 8. And then I'm going to Fanatic and kill your Domri.
Sure.
So the reason I do this after combat is because I'm planning on killing his Domri, so it doesn't matter if it's 1 or 4, it's going to do the same thing. And if I just play this, then there's a chance that he just might not block.
So normally this card would be very good, but we are a little stuck on mana. So we didn't draw a land again. So what we're going to do is we're going to play this, get that out there, and then we're going to use Mizzium Mortars to kill his Fanatic. So we want to... Our hand is very good, we just need time to play the cards. So you're up. Especially this. This card is very good against him.
Alright, so... So I'm just going to play a Boros Reckoner.
Okay.
and then I'll pass the turn.
All right. Green producing land. Not it. So he's at 8. I think our line is we just want to play these 2 cards here. And if he kills this one, that's fine. But we just want to put as much, basically as much onto the board as we can and try to maximize our mana. So we're going to go ahead and start by casting a Voice of Resurgence. Good?
Resolves.
Okay, then I'm going to play Scavenging Ooze. That way if he has like a shock or something, he can't do it on our Ooze end step unless he wants us to get a Voice trigger. So we'll just pass the turn after that.
So here is an interesting choice, because I know that I want to use this on his Scavenging Ooze this turn, because I just can't really let him untap with it. So there's a chance that I might just want to scry before I draw. We have 3 cards?
Yep.
So I think that that's actually what I'm going to do. So I'm going to jet the Ooze in my upkeep,
Okay.
which is going to let me scry. And so we definitely don't want this card, and I don't think that the other creature does a whole lot right now. So there's a very good chance that we can expect a Unflinching Courage coming next turn. So I think that I actually just want to ship both of these to the bottom and try and draw something that we can. So basically I'll just be looking for an Ash Zealot, Burning Tree Emissary. Don't know if any of those are actually going to be very good. I think that this might set me up for later turns. So I actually think that I'm just going to put this on top and this on bottom.
Okay.
I'll draw for my turn.
Sure.
I'll attack with the Boros Reckoner.
Go to 10. Not worth it to block here. We just lose our guys for no value.
I'll play a Striker.
Okay.
And then pass.
Draw. Not a good one for us. So if he has like a Chandra's Phoenix or an Ash Zealot, we're not going to be able to block. We're at 10. Kind of tough decision. I think if we had drawn a land, we would probably do this plus this, or these two, but I think as it stands now, we're going to attack with our Voice, and if he does have a way to, yeah, we'll go ahead and start by attacking with our Voice.
I'll take it.
All right, so he goes to 6, and then we're going to play a Boros Reckoner like this. That way, if he does have like Ash Zealot plus Lightning Strike, we can still block his Fire Fist Striker with our Elvish Mystic, even if he makes Boros Reckoner unable to block. So we'll do that and pass.
Okay. So a land here actually would have been very good. So at this point, I think my best bet is just to cast this and pass the turn. And then hopefully I don't die. Level 5 yet?
Okay, I'm at 5.
And I don't think attacking actually does anything. So I'll pass the turn.
Draw. Not exactly it. Exactly the reckoner.
Right, so I'm at 6. If I don't block here and just take the 3, he could. I'm just dead to like a flames. So I think that that's going to be my best bet, is just to block here with my striker. And he gets to kill my fanatic. Yeah, I'll block with my striker.
Okay. I'll do 2 the fanatic. So now we're at 5. And he has a Boros Reckoner that can attack us. So we have the option of basically casting this and using it, or casting both of these and then not being able to use this. Hmm. 5. The advantage of casting this is this blocks Reckoner very well. The advantage to using this is we gain a life, so we're not dead to like Jet plus Lightning Strike. But I guess we would still have to block his Reckoner and take a minimum of 1 with our Elvish Mystic. So I think that our best bet is to just play both of these cards and hope that we don't die. So.
All right, well, I need a land. Land? That is not a land. Scryed one to the bottom, that's for sure.
I haven't seen land for a while either. So.
Boy, is that frustrating. So I think that I just play both of these and don't unleash. He just gets to courage me next turn.
I'm pretty sure if I had a courage, I would have played it a long time
It's
ago.
right on top of your deck.
All right.
And he can gain. He'll be able to gain 3 life. Maybe I just do this and put him at 1. Six. So even if I can do 6, he can still gain a bunch of life. I played this game pretty poorly. Alright, so it's either these two or just play this guy and put him at 1. And if I just put him at 1, he can just attack me. I think that's going to be best, actually. We're just going to play these guys. No unleash, and pass the turn.
Draw.
Shockland overload museum orders?
Sounds like an awesome idea. So if he has like a shock type of card, it's probably pretty bad for us. But I think that our best bet is to flames 1, 1, and 1. Put you at 5. And then just attack with these. Yeah, let's attack with these.
I guess since I didn't play around the flames. So I played around flames one turn and then just didn't the following turn. And I don't really know if I could have played around it the turn anyways. But I think that I am just dead.
Okay.
Alright, here we go, game 4. I get to be back on the play again, which is where I want to be. Hopefully we get a good one. Billion Burning Tramissaries would be nice. Alright, well this hand isn't extremely awesome, but I think that I'm going to be able to put on, you know, some pressure and got a lot of live draws in my deck, so we're going to keep it.
This hand is basically looks a lot like every hand we've seen so far, which for the most part they haven't been that exciting. They haven't worked out as well as we would like them to. At the same time, I can't ship this hand. These are some pretty good cards in this matchup, but it is like super slow and not very exciting. So,
Unleash. Go.
Yep. All right. Play a temple and we'll scry, and we will keep that on top. Go.
I'll attack for 2.
18.
Unleash.
Sure.
Go ahead.
So, we basically want to not take as much damage as possible. So we basically, I don't know, this is a tough one. We can play this, but we have to shock ourselves to do it, or we can play this and try to set up our next turn. I think both may end up being roughly the same. This plays a lot better if he has a Fire Fist Striker, he probably just would have played it. I think I like this play a little bit more because in the situation where he kills this immediately when we play it, we want to have as much stuff off the board as possible leading up to that point. So I'm going to shock myself down to 16, and I'm going to Mizium Mortars a Rakdos Cackler. And then I'll pass the turn to you. Phoenix. And we're down to 12.
Good.
Draw. Yep. And we're down to 10. Boros Reckoner. You're up.
So I'm going to save this because I'm planning on using it later. So we'll draw a card. And that one's pretty cute. And I think my best bet here is just to use the mortars on the Boros Reckoner and get in as much damage right now as I can. So I'm gonna mortars the Reckoner.
I'll shoot it back at the Phoenix.
And then we'll attack.
8.
And then I will pass the turn.
All right. Draw.
So I imagine we're going to see a Scavenging Ooze here,
This
which is going to be fine.
This is not a good draw for us, unfortunately, since we already have this effect over here. But we're going to hope that our Temple scries us into something sweet. It does. We will keep it on top. Boros Reckoner.
Sure.
And you're up.
I'll jet you and step.
All right, so we're down to 6. So
Trigger the Phoenix.
the hope is that we don't die.
Scry. And I think so. We definitely want this guy. And every time I've scried one of these to the bottom, I've just been unhappy with it. But I think with the texture of our hand, I would much rather have a fresh draw. So we'll put this on top and this on bottom. Just gonna attach to. And we get to draw a card. So I can imagine here that we're going to be looking at a Domri fighting us next turn. So I think that I actually just want to play this to set up the following turn. Which I actually want to change my scry now that I think about that. So this bottom card needs to be here. Make sure it's the same thing. Yeah, it's the same thing. So I'm going to play this Boros Reckoner.
Okay.
And then I'll pass the turn. And we do it that way because we want to be able to do this and make sure that we can push through damage that we need.
Draw. We're in a pretty bad position here, not gonna lie. I think we have to play this, and I think we have to use this on tap to do so as well. Pretty sure we're dead to a Fanatic of Mogus. Either way. We know he has a Chandra's Phoenix as one of the 2 cards. So if he plays the Phoenix next turn and just swings all out, four. Yeah, I think we're not dead if that's the case. So shocking might be the wrong line, but at the same time, I want to max. I don't think the 1 point matters that much. We could also not shock. We get to save 1 point of life that way. So that actually may just be better to not shock. But if we don't shock, his Reckoner gets to kill our Scavenging Ooze if they trade, which we may be okay with that anyway. I don't know, this is a tough decision here. Well, we're definitely playing this. That's definitely going to be our line. I don't think playing this does anything on this board, especially when we know he has a Chandra's Phoenix. So we will play a Scavenging Ooze. Let's see. We would drop to 4, go back to 6 if we shock ourselves. And he has Phoenix plus Reckoner, able to deal damage. And if we don't shock ourselves and he attacks with the Reckoner, we have to block with ours. They kill each other and he gets to kill our Ooze. So I do think we have to shock here so that our Ooze isn't just dead to his Reckoner. So that drops us to 4. And then we will pass the turn. Hopefully we're not dead.
Land. And a Fanatic.
Alright. Yep. I mean, we can gain 2 and go to 6, but then we're just
and then
dead.
You go to 1 and then I attack with the Reckoner.
Yeah, then we're just dead to the Reckoner attack. So we were dead either way to the Fanatic. So.
And that was like, I didn't realize that I wanted to do this line until after I'd played the Reckoner, but I scribed the land at the bottom and I needed it on top to be able to give him first strike so that I can actually deal damage, like if you block with your Reckoner.
I mean, you get to deal damage regardless.
Oh, yeah, because you can give your guy first strike.
Well, like, you know, I either...
Yeah.
But.
Well, I guess I didn't need to, but I wanted to have 5 lands.
All right, we are here for the final game, so...
This is the triple Burning Tree Emissary game. Folks at home can be ready.
All right. Again, this hand is absurdly slow, but it has good cards, so I'm still going to keep it.
I don't have any land.
Okay. One thing I'm noticing with this deck is, like, I mentioned it in the deck tech, but the mana, I think the mana can be drastically improved with this deck.
What changes would you make to the mana?
Yeah. I would cut some of these tap lands and...
The temples?
Yeah, I would cut down on the temples and add some basics.
Like even like the control decks aren't playing 8 temples.
Yeah, like all the decks that I've been building this format, even the 3-color decks are playing like 6 or 7 basic lands. And the mana hasn't been that bad. And in fact, the times it's bad is usually when you have to shock yourself a bunch. Like, I don't even like playing full 12 shock lands, even though I think you kind of have to. I don't like it. But like one of the issues that I've been basically all 4 games I felt like my draws have been very awkward. Even the game I won, like, my draw was just very awkward. And I think a lot of it has to do with the mana. Like, I have 4 Elvish Mystics, and they've been very bad because it's very hard for me to cast them like early in the game with all the lands that come into play tapped. So, are you good with that one?
I mean, it's got my favorite mountain in it.
So, all
so
right.
I guess I gotta keep. It's a really awkward and bad hand, but.
All right, that's a snap favorite mountain. All right, we're going to scry. We don't care about that card, and we will ship it to the bottom. You're up.
Go.
All right. Draw. All right, that's a very good card. Power of Scry. We're going to scry again. And, I think we keep this one. I think this card will be good this game at some point, so... I will leave it on top. It may not end up being that good, but I think it will be, so we'll pass.
And a dude. Well, we drew a dude. Go ahead.
Fire Fist Dude. Yep. So we're going to shock ourselves. 18.
Another Boros Reckoner?
Nope. Smiter.
Oh, that one.
Smiter making a rare appearance, so you're up.
All right. So I can do both of these, but then that leaves me like extremely vulnerable to a Flames of the Firebrand. So I think that I'm just going to be better off.
You don't think Leashed Cackler second Fire Fist Striker is the line?
Yeah, we'll definitely keep the leash on him. Just the old tray for 1. So I think that I'm just going to do this. And we're going to battle.
I will drop to 16.
And then I'll pass the turn.
All right, draw. And I'm going to shock myself down to 14. And I was hoping that this guy would be useful, and I think he will be. So Old big Polykranos. Hopefully we'll eat CVM's life total, not the world.
All right, so here I think that I just play this. Oh, I want to be able to turn on Firefish Striker next turn. So we're still in the same predicament where Flames is still good against us. But I think that's fine. And we have to play into it at some point. Go. I think Polykranos' courage is going to be unflinched.
What was the name of that dog? The cowardly dog?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Courage, the cowardly dog?
Yeah.
I guess I should. I'm gonna do this first, just in case
Yeah,
that
why
changes
not?
anything. I think we will leave that awesome card on top, and then we will do this. So if he wants to throw away pretty much his entire board to kill this Polykranos, I think I'm okay with that, because we do get to gain 7 life in the meantime. So get on in for 7.
So if I block with the Reckoner, he only has to assign 3 damage to the Boros Reckoner.
You yeah.
So I would have to trade 2 creatures for his 1 creature. You have 3 cards?
Yep,
And this Scry left the card on top?
it did.
Well, that's unfortunate.
Is it?
So I can take him back to 14. But if he gets to untap with that Polykranos with an Unflinching Courage, it is just game over, man. Game over.
Okay. 3, 1, and 3.
So I'm going to go to 17, you're going to go to 21, and your dude's going to die.
Yep. Alright. Sorry, Polykranos. You're dead. You're up. It does set us up much better for the rest of the game, though. Okay. So, draw. You have 1 card. So this Firefish Striker isn't turned on yet. At the same time, I'm not sure we want to let it get to the point where it does. But so we're definitely going to play this Boros Reckoner, and I think
That sure is a good one.
it is a good one. It is quite the good one, actually. I think I'm actually going to Mizium Mortars his Burning Tree Emissary as well. That way, if he kills our Reckoner, we at least... and then we'll pass the turn. That way, if he kills our Reckoner, we at least aren't taking damage
You have
from
2
it.
cards?
Yep.
Alright, well, I'm going to jet you.
Okay. Down to the fresh 17.
We need to try and get something going here. And I think we have to keep this one. 1 top, 1 bottom. And then we'll draw a card. And pass the turn.
I wonder if that is a lightning strike.
It could be another Magma Jet. No point shipping a jet to the bottom.
I will ship with Boros Reckoner. Alright, you're at 14. And I will play a Loxodon Smiter. So if he
don't
has
say.
if he has land mortars here, that kind of sucks for us, but Yeah, we're just gonna play into that. So. This is the loneliest Fire Fist striker I've ever seen.
It's pretty
He
lonely.
needs to get out and get some friends.
Cackler. I got a choice here. I have to decide.
Leash or unleash?
To leash or unleash.
Paper or plastic?
I think we're going to unleash here.
Okay.
And then I'll pass the turn.
All right, so he has a card in his hand that he hasn't cast yet. It could be like he's sandbagging for an overloaded mortars. So I could go for this, but if it is whatever the card, Lightning Strike, if it is the new Searing Spear and I go for this line, it's just much worse for me. Versus I think this line might end up being a little bit better here because it plays around that card a little bit more. I feel like the card in his hand probably is Mizzium Mortars, if I had to take a wild guess. So I guess I'll start by attacking for 7, and we'll see what happens with that. So he goes to 7. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go for this because I have the feeling that he's playing with the Mizzium Mortars there. So we'll try the Domri route, and hopefully that doesn't backfire. And I'm gonna try to fight these two. All right, so he does have it, and we will kill his Rakdos Cackler. And then we'll play an Elvish Mystic. So we still can block to save our Domri if we need to. You're up.
That was a good card. But you might have a Mizzium Mortars to overload now. I think that the striker's worth keeping around for now, so we will kill your Domri.
Okay.
And I'll pass.
We'll play Temple and Scry to the bottom. Do not want that one. I will Flames your 2 guys. So we could have Flames the turn before, but he didn't kill our Reckoner for multiple turns in a row, so I assumed if he's willing to take 6 from it, he probably didn't have a Lightning Strike, but he actually did. So we didn't.
2.
Unfortunately, our Domri fight wasn't as good, but you're up.
And I'm dead.
Okay. All right, we are here for our conclusion of our
Epic battle.
5-color red versus
Tapped land.
Wizards and Tap Lands. Yeah,
Yeah, Wizards and Tapped lands.
So yeah, I mean that went roughly how I expected it to. I mentioned it in the deck tech, but like the mana base for the Naya deck, like I was worried that it would really come back to haunt me against mono red, and I think it definitely did. A lot of those games I lost, I think, like had I been able to dump my hand, I probably would have won, but I just struggled to do so in like a timely fashion because like I'm either shocking myself a lot, or I was struggling to hit land drops a lot of times, or I was playing land tap so many times it was like putting me so far behind that I think that like was kind of a big problem. But
I agree. Although like if you play more basics, sometimes you just draw the wrong ones, and even though you had a lot of lands that came into play tapped and shocked yourself some, for the most part you were still playing your important cards on curve, which is why you were able to win the 2 games that you won. Like, you still were able to play Reckoner every game on 3, which is very important.
Yeah, I mean, it's important, but if it's the only card I cast, it doesn't matter. Like, that's the issue I have. Like, the games where I was playing Reckoner on 3, like, a lot of those games I had 2 drops. I had 1 drops in my hand. I just couldn't cast them until, like, turn 4 or 5. And it was... And even then, like, when I was casting them on turn 4 and 5, like, if I played an Elvish Mystic on turn 4, it would just be my only play for that turn, which is just really awkward.
Well, maybe a Mystic just shouldn't be in the deck.
Yeah, like, I actually... Well, I think Mystic should be in the deck, but I think that the deck should try to, like... I think the deck needs to try to accommodate those cards better. Like, I think playing basic mountains and basic plains is fine. Like, it makes your mana, like, a little less, like, robust. Like, you're not going to always have, like... exactly the perfect colors, but they still cast those cards. Still cast like Reckoner, Domri, and Stormbreath Dragon perfectly fine, especially a basic mountain. The only time like it is a little rough is like when you're trying to cast a Smiter or a Celestia Charm, but those are only 2 cards in the deck.
I just kind of feel like if you're trying to cater towards Mystic and Scavenging Ooze, then Reckoner is going to be very tough to cast without butchering your mana base, which I think is probably why we've had such a hard time coming.
I mean, that's why. Yeah.
We've had a hard time coming up with a good Nihilist. So maybe it's better just to go one way or another, or just like not play Reckoner. Or focus more on the Reckoner side of the deck. Like Reckoner is very good, but to be honest, Smiter is probably going to be just as good.
Most of the time, yeah.
Like,
yeah, I mean, like that's
the
like,
Centaur healer guy would have been pretty good too, even.
Yeah,
so.
Like a lot of the problem that I've had trying to build Naya decks is that like if I'm playing Boros Reckoner, then like Forest and Elvish Mystic become so bad, but like Reckoner Domri is so good, and also like Stormbreath Dragon has a double red commitment as well. It's like you're playing green, white, and red, but what's like the actual splash color? Like what's your important
there isn't,
colors?
That's the problem.
Yeah, there isn't. That's the problem. Like the mana base can't really work that very well.
Not anymore.
Yeah, so that's like a lot of the problem I was running into. Like, I felt like the deck had a lot of powerful cards, and I think that, and like really my only complaint was in regards to the mana base. Like I felt like I was, basically like the games I was losing, it was entirely like issues with, hitting land drops or like having to shock myself too many times or things like that. And so I almost wonder if like as powerful as these cards are, is like scaling down the power level to improve the consistency level is probably worth it.
Well, and that's an important thing to look at is why Mono Red did so well this last weekend is because decks are trying to do that. Because let's face it, that's what we're used to. Like when we first started getting ready and testing or whatever, we're just like throwing all these temples and shocklands into our deck to play all the powerful cards. But you run into those inconsistency issues. You're also shocking yourself, and then you just get Ash Zealoted out of the game. Like a lot of people showed up with these cards full of these decks full of powerful cards, and then just lost to Rakdos Cackler.
Yep. Yeah, I mean like that happens a lot in new formats where people want to play all the cool new cards, but that one guy who's just piling like a well-tuned mono red deck is just going to crush everyone. So. Which
I really like this deck. Fanatic of Mogus does a lot of damage, and it's a huge threat that looms over your opponent's head.
Yeah, that deck seemed very good. I was pretty impressed with it. Is there anything that you think you would want to like change with it, or?
You definitely want some lands on the sideboard.
Yeah.
Like 2 Mutavaults on the sideboard would be perfect. I don't think that Burning Earth is where you want to be. Like your deck is just like mono non-basics, and you cast like no spells from except for turn 3 on. So in theory, Burning Earth would have been good against you, and I probably should have tried it out in the last game, but it still is just like not where I want to be. So I think that fixing the sideboard a bit is definitely what I'd want to look at. But the main deck felt very good. I mean, I probably would even want a 22nd land in the main, but Fnatic was sweet.
Yeah, it definitely seems strong. And I also like you mentioned that you were like trying to hit your 4th and 5th land drops a lot. So yeah, like having more than 21 lands might just be right. If your cards are that powerful, like it doesn't matter if you're just like flooding out a little bit. If your cards are powerful enough, you're still going to win anyway. So definitely. It's worth it for the games where you're like the one game you were stuck on 2, you ended up winning. Or no, that was the game I won, I think.
I won the game when I was stuck on 2.
Yeah, you were stuck on 2 for a long time, and like if I had like a little bit less of an awkward draw, I think I would have been able to win purely because of that. Like your hand had a lot of powerful cards, but you just struggle to cast them. So
definitely, and you could even want to go even further, like to help prevent flooding. So playing like a 22nd land, and then maybe even moving 1 or 2 of the Chandras to the main would be really good, because you get to points in like the mid game where cards like good old Rakdos Cackler, they don't really cut it. But when you're able to make their guys not block, or you have the Fanatics, you're actually getting more out of the Cackler than what meets the eye.
Yeah, that's definitely true.
So what did you think about Paul Kranos in the deck? Do you think that's like a very, very good card for those types of decks? Because I know that's one of the controversies, and we've even been called out as far as like trying to push terrible mythics when we're playing those cards in our video. But we can see from this weekend that it's a good card. It was in the top 8. And I feel like a lot of people just don't like the card very much because of the double X and the monstrosity, but I still think it's very good.
Yeah, I think the card is really good. Like I don't know if it's the best card for the slot here. Like I think it is. The only issue is I had so many games where I was on one green and I couldn't cast it. And I think that, maybe, small sample size, we only played 5 games, but, like, I do think the card is very powerful, especially with Unflinching Courage. I like that. In fact, I almost think Unflinching Courage might be good enough to main deck.
I
because
agree.
the only matchup,
especially with all the mono red.
Yeah, the only matchup where you don't really want it is like the blue-white control decks. But even in the other mid-range decks, you still want Unflinching Courage, especially when you're playing like Polokranos and Smiter and Reckoner and all that stuff. So yeah, I actually think that I do like having all the the really really big creatures, but I also think that like Unflinching Courage maybe should just be in there alongside them.
I mean, if we move Courage to the main, it might be worthwhile to move Voice into the main as well, since those two play very well together.
Yeah, I agree.
Whereas if your opponent's going to 2-for-1 you, you get the Elemental, so it kind of lessens the damage that it deals.
Yeah, and I also like Voice main anyway because I just think the card's very good in general. Like it's hard to think. There's not a lot of matchups where it isn't good. So, I mean, it may not be like the best card ever, but it is still just like a 2-drop. You're not, you're getting a lot more mileage out of Voice than most 2-drops, even Scavenging Ooze a lot of times.
As awkward as it sounds, we're talking about how awesome all of these green-white cards are. At what point do you have to ask yourself, is it worth playing the red for the Reckoner and the Dragon when we could easily splash just Domri, which I think is probably the best of the red cards in the deck anyways?
Yeah, Domri's definitely the best red card in the deck, and Domri also works really well with Polokranos and Unflinching Courage because you can use your Courage creature to fight one of their guys and gain a lot more life off of that too. So I do think that it's definitely possible that like green-white splash red could be a big thing. That way you get a better mana base, and you still get to keep the best of the red cards in Domri. You lose Reckoner, but I think Smiter is like on the same level.
Like if you have
anyway.
Smiter, Voice, Courage in the main, that kind of picks up the slack that Reckoner leaves against the red decks. And Dragon, it hurts losing Dragon against the control decks, but like we have Domri, which still just beats them by himself. So.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I definitely think that's a possibility. Do you expect to see these two decks this weekend in sunny old Cleveland, Ohio?
I don't know how sunny Cleveland will be. It's no Philadelphia. But yeah, I do think we will definitely see Mono Red, and I think we'll see Naya too. And I'm interested to see how it progresses because like there are like so many different choices you can make with the deck. So I'm very interested to see how it ends up.
I agree. I think we're going to see both. One recommendation that I would make to our viewers is if you're set on playing Mono Red this weekend, take some time to be familiar with the 3 popular versions of Mono Red that were in the format. I mentioned it earlier, but I did write my article on it this week, and I think it's very important to understand it because all 3 are just extremely different. Like, as you notice, this one, like I had draws where I'm just like super aggressive, but most of the time I'm just like nickel and diming you and then mogusing you out. Whereas Owen's deck is all in on Foundry Street, Denizen. It's going to attack you with a bunch of X1s. Then the other deck is Young Pyromancer, which I think is very good against the Azorius Charm decks, but not really good in the mirror. So
yeah, so there's a lot of different versions. So like the cards that are good depend on what you're playing against, like Flames of the Firebrand for a good example. So
absolutely. Do you have anything else?
No, that's it for me.
All right, well, thanks, guys, for stopping by and checking us out this week. For BBD, this is CVM saying thank you.
See you.